Today we will take a look at the Tennessee Titans, their offseason, their rundown, and their hopes of possible winning the Super Bowl. How can they do it? What's their road to do it? And today is the day that I intend to do 3 videos in one day. It's gonna be Chargers, Giants, and Titans, which is like episode 5, 6, and 7. And because I'm saying that, and I'm talking about Titans, which is number 7, it's like, have you already done it? And I'm like, no, I haven't. I skipped Giants, I skipped Chargers, not intentionally. It's just like, I'm so excited to talk about Titans that I was like, I want to start this like heroic day in terms of, I really intend to do 3 videos in one day. And I want to start the day with Titans because I am so intrigued about what they've done. They might be the team that I have not paid that much attention. And maybe because of that, that's where they like got me on hook. Like, I really like what they have done. I'm intrigued by the possibilities that this team has for the future, and maybe even this season. So, with no further ado, let's talk about what the Titans will be this year, most likely, what they could be going forward, what are the changes they have done, and we will do it in similar sense that we do it always. So, run down all of the primary positions like weaponry, meaning QBs, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, both lines, offensive and defensive line. With defensive line, we will always talk about linebackers, whether it's outside or true inside linebackers as well. And then secondary. We also talk about coaches, and then some like major points that I feel like there need to be addressed with the Titans. So for them, I chose Will Levis. Is he the answer? Tina Turner as a singer that has one of hers maybe theirs. Okay, one of her best song is Simply the Best, and it might just be how I judge their offseason for what they've done. And the last one is Family Bond. And here we will talk about their coaching staff, the changes they have made, and the father-son relationship that was brought under the Titans roof. But there is so much more that I could be like talking about as topics to discuss. Like my number 4 that I like cannot do because I just I want to do just 3 things for every series. But I will be talking more about draft overall because I do that at the end of the videos. Like we will kind of assume what they will be drafting, or who they will be drafting, how will they approach the draft. And I think lucky number 7 could be the thing as the topics to discuss, because they have the number 7 pick, and unlike Chicago, maybe unlike Washington, I feel like there is a lot of possibilities they could do with this pick. It's not like there's a certainty about what they will do with number 7 pick, and I will show you some of my thoughts on what they could do, and I feel like what they will do with that pick could alter very well where they will be heading. So with no further ado, let's start with the weaponry. I say with no further ado, and then I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, I want to mention something. Thank you guys for the feedback. I really appreciate it. I changed my mic. That's actually like right here. You can see the mic. Hey, I hope the camera will. Yeah, I fucked up my camera setting. That's just me, guys. What is going on? Okay, here we are. Okay, it's good. I'm back. Great. So I have my mic here. It should help with the sound tremendously. Before this, I had it like on one side and was like, yeah, you want to see obviously my pretty face. Yeah. But now I'm like, yeah, you probably want to hear me more, which is, I think, very, very reasonable from you guys. Second thing I want to address, I'm not gonna change it in terms of presentation, but before I will start with the rundowns, I will talk just in a bit about like a general strategy that I feel like this team entered the offseason with, when they were last season, etc. So let's go. Titans. There has been quite a big overhaul in terms of personnel, right? They got rid of their 10-year head coach in Mike Vrabel, who, when I heard about this news, I was like, what? Why? To me, he's very, very good head coach. Like, I feel like he's overperformed the quality that he had in Tennessee for years. But there are two things that I kind of, actually three, but the third will be actual choice of a head coach that I kind of approving. But the two things that I think led to the decision is, first, there were reports, rumors. I don't think I've seen anything official, so I don't want this to be a knock on Mike Vrabel, on his reputation, or whatever. But there are reports that he has been found like intimidating, maybe too much of a physical presence, because he is big guy. He talks loud. He is just a passionate big guy. I'm like, it's kind of weird reports, but first I think you have to take these in terms of like what is the like general weather, or how you want to call it, or mood in America, when like they do look at these reports much more like in detail or in depth than we would do, I think, in Europe. Whereas like to a point that it might be just way too much, but it's like let's not go into political debate. But whenever this surfaces, it actually could be leg breaking for the head coach, because it's like I definitely don't want to compare it with like what Washington had with their owner. Like it's based on like the severity and everything. It's like you cannot compare it, but you can see that the public view or public perception could have a swing and at what actually like the general management and the ownership will do. So again, I don't want this to be a knock on Mike Vrabel. I feel like this was not anything that I've read like officially, but I feel like this could be part of the decision. And second is actual results, right? Like Tennessee did not have really good results last 1.5 year or 1.5 season. They were on the cusp of easily winning the division like 2 years ago, and then they got absolutely hammered with injuries. Kind of pick out like Joshua Dobbs from the street because Malik Willis was just not the answer after Ryan Tannehill got injured. And yeah, they blew a huge lead in terms of division, but I don't really see that on like Mike Vrabel, because there was like so many injuries and was not really much that they could do. They even almost won that last game against the Jaguars, right? Which was like, I think it more says about the Jaguars than the Titans, but whatever. But this season was again that was a disaster season, and yeah, I think some of it has to go on Mike Vrabel. So results were not there. Maybe some reports were not there. Were there to like, yeah, we just don't want to work under this guy. And when you go with both of these things, as well as I feel like he outperformed what he had, but it's not like he won a ring, right? It's not like the Titans won a ring. It's not like they've been to Super Bowl. They were actually like much closer than I feel like they should have, given the talent they had the last couple of years, but they haven't like done this major accomplishment that would like be a saving grace for Mike Vrabel. So I feel like they went into this offseason in terms of, okay, we want to change the stuff, but at the same time we want to know and we want to find out if Will Levis is our guy of the future, right? So he's actually going to be one of the discussing points. Here you can see him. I will be also mentioning, guys, when it's like worth looking at the screen. So because like this is going to be like more than an hour long most of the time, and I understand that this is not a video, it's mostly a podcast show. So like looking at the screen is not something you actually need to do a lot, but here you can see like how I created player cards for the Titans, and on the left side you can see Will Levis. On the right side you can see Malik Willis. So they entered this offseason with like, yeah, we want to find out if Will Levis is the guy. And in the process, we want to give him an offensive head coach. They've done that. They actually, because of family bond, they brought one of the best offensive line coaches with his dad. Again, we'll talk more in detail about this in coaches part of this video. And at the same time, they brought a weaponry in Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard. Both of these guys, I have some concerns, but I will address them in just a couple of minutes. But they clearly entered this offseason and like, yeah, this is his year number 2. We want to see what we have. We want to see what we will work with going forward. And we are addressing that. But in the process, I feel like it was like, our division is like, there is no clear team that would have like the huge floor. I think you have Colts with Anthony Richardson, but he played like 3 games or 4 games. He showed a lot of promise, but like he got injured. What will be the Colts if he gets injured again? What will be the Colts with him actually playing the whole season? Like, you don't know. Will the Houston follow up on a great season? I'm like, a lot of people want that, trust that, and I'm one of them. But is it like certainty? No. It's still like a team that's like or like 2 years from today, or 1 year from today, they were supposed to have, they had number 2 pick for good reason, and they would have number 1 pick if their former head coach was like, okay, I kind of want to screw this franchise, let's win the last game and just go and have a number 2 pick rather than number 1. So there is a reason why they were, like, even entering last year, Houston was not like projected to be super high. A lot of people say that they overpaid for Will Anderson because they will most likely suck like in 2023, and therefore the first round pick that they gave up for Will Anderson will be very valuable. It's actually not that much because it's 27th, I think, in this year's draft, because they were so great. But it's not like Houston has a great floor. And when you look at Jacksonville, yeah, it's like a team that can self-implode pretty much anytime. I'm not like huge believer in what they have in there. And again, I don't feel like there is a team in this division that you would say like they will be 12-5. And I'm comfortable with that. Like, I actually trust that they will have like 12-win season. It's not like Kansas, it's not like San Francisco, maybe even like Dallas, and well, maybe not Dallas, but you get the point. Like, so I felt like in the middle of the offseason they were like, okay, so we gave Levis the weapon or the weapons. We should give him a better protection because of draft that we will make and the offensive line coach that we sneak from Cleveland because he's great. So what if he is our guy? Like, could not we actually capitalize on that this season and actually be good and maybe even compete for the division? And they were like, well, maybe we could. And that's where I feel like trade for L'Jarius Sneed and paying him was like, yeah, he might actually be the guy that, if the offense is promising with Levis, we actually have or could have a defense to back it up at hell, maybe even win a division. So I feel like that was the process during the offseason. First, we want to make sure that we address Will Levis and his future. Is he the guy? But in the process, they kind of assessed that the division is not like the division with Kansas, division with San Fran, where you are like, we are not winning this one unless we have an excellent season. Because here, I think great season, given the like weird mix that is in this division, could be enough to win it. So that's my thoughts on like how Titans approach this. Let's now go for the rundown. So here you can see again, if you want to watch, now is the time to like give me 2 or 3 minutes of your attention, because now you see player cards, so you will get familiar with their faces. You can also appreciate if you like the design, or you can tell me that it sucks. You are welcome with both opinions. So in quarterback room, you have Will Levis, you have Mason Rudolph, signed from Pittsburgh, and you have Malik Willis. I feel like it's clear you go with Will Levis, and these two guys are like interesting, especially in terms of Mason Rudolph. Good backups that in case of Will Levis injury, or if he sucks really bad, you plug in and you have a chance of winning games. In terms of running back room, you are losing King Henry. It's a sad day for the Titans, because I mean, it's King Henry. Like he was the face of that franchise for several years. He is a great player, I think a great guy, and you are missing future Hall of Famer, in my opinion. That sucks. And it's not like Derrick Henry is still not one of the best running backs in the league. But his window, his prime is falling, and I feel like he wants to go somewhere where he can win now. And Baltimore is actually an excellent fit for him, because with Lamar Jackson opening up the run game, he could very, very profit from that. The replacement that you brought for him is Tony Pollard, and to be honest, I don't like this pairing with Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears, because I feel like they are quite similar. It's not like they complement each other just like Derrick Henry and Tyjae Spears did. But it's not like Tony Pollard is a bad player. He is a very good player. So it's a decent room. But we will get to that later. Let's go to the cards so you can stop watching and just get to listen again. So in terms of wide receivers, you have Hassan Haskins, you have DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks, Kyle Phillips, Chris Moore, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. And here you can see the two tight ends, Josh Weil and Chig Okonkwo, with the new weapon for Will Levis in Calvin Ridley. So here is how the salary looked and the players looked before the offseason started, and here is where we are right now. So you can see this table for a couple of seconds, couple of minutes, whatever. I will be addressing if I have some like cost to reward non-efficiency in terms of players, so you can get back to this moment, to this table, and perhaps watch it for yourself. So in terms of quarterbacks, there's really not much to say. Like let's find out who Will Levis is. We have him for 3 more years. Because he was the second round pick, we don't have the 5th-year option, so it's 3 more years. So it actually puts more pressure to find out if he is the guy than if he was like the late 1st round pick, if he is the early 2nd round. Mason Rudolph, he showed some things with Pittsburgh last season, but it's like he's limited. There's a reason why he didn't get a job over Kenny Pickett, didn't get a job over aging Ben. There's a reason why they brought Mitch Trubisky to Pittsburgh. So he is carry backup, good backup. I think the contract is actually good, like in a league where QB is actually getting injured quite often. This is very good backup for a good price. Malik Willis, like if you can get something out of him, maybe some wildcat formation some days, maybe, but at this point I feel like he It's just gonna be here for 2 more years, maybe be a backup next season, and nothing more. So in terms of running back room, again, like I will repeat myself, I don't like the addition of Tony Pollard in terms of complementary skill set with Tyjae Spears. I thought maybe this could be an area that you address with like late third or early fourth round pick. If you trade down, because you obviously don't have your third round because of Jerry Snead trade. But it's like Tony Pollard is a very good player, you know. The only thing I kind of don't like is like the pairing. But he is coming home in a way to the Memphis, and he should be a good player for them with Tyjae Spears. This is a room that should not drag you down. And then in terms of wide receivers, do I think you overpaid for Calvin Ridley? Yes, I do. I don't feel like he is like 20 million a year type of player, and you actually gave him like 22, 23 million a year, which is like on average you can obviously get of that deal. But at this point, it's like 4-year, 92 millions with 50 millions guaranteed. So that's a lot. You can get out of it after the second season with 10 and 5 million in that cap. So you can save 15 and 20 million in 2026 and 2027. So in that case, you have a way out if he is not great. I only have him as a good starter, therefore like I cannot justify paying him so much money. Maybe I'm lower on him than general public is. It's like I kind of judge him based on what I saw in Jaguars or in his last season with Falcons, and I didn't saw number one receiver. And I don't feel like you should pay your number two guy this much money. But given the market, he was one of the best receivers out there. At the same time, you don't have to treat him as your number one here because you have DeAndre Hopkins, right? At the same time, you want to find out who Will Levis is. So in these circumstances, I feel like I would still not pay him that much. I think it's way too much, but I feel like it's justifiable, and there is quite decent way out, of this deal if it doesn't work. And then you have guys like Treylon Burks, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. In ideal world, I feel like you add one wide receiver into this room through a draft. We'll talk about that in the draft section, but I feel like this could be a position that you draft. In terms of tight ends, you don't really have much. Chigo Okonkwo, neither Josh Weil are like great players. Obviously, Chigo Okonkwo had very good first season that he did not follow up on like last year, but it's like a serviceable room. Like it's probably gonna be one of the worst tight end rooms in the league. Maybe this is something you address in the draft as well, but it should not break your season. So they are not that bad that they should be like this gaping hole. They will break your season as well. It's a tight end position, right? It's not QB, it's not wide receiver. It's just tight ends. So that's my rundown of the weaponry, and now let's go to their O-line. So their O-line is a mess, or actually was a mess for last 2 or 3 years, right? It's like Derrick Henry was able to be great despite having literally the worst O-lines of the league in front of him. So here you can check these guys, how they look like. It's like Andrew Dillard, Peter Skoronski, Daniel Brunskill, Dylan Rodens, Nicolas Petit-Frere, Jalen Duncan, Aaron Brewer, Chris Hubbard, Lloyd Cushenberry. So obviously, when you want to find out if Will Levis is your guy, and if you want to kind of even do something like offensively, you need to have a better offensive line than they did last 2 years, at least last 2 years. This was really bad. And they are addressing it. First of all, they drafted Peter Skoronski last year, and he was good. I felt like in a situation in which he might have been their best O-lineman, which is like really tall ask for a rookie on this position. And they play him as a guard, not as a tackle, but this is the position like tracker from Sport Track, so they see him as a tackle, and I thought they might still try him as a tackle going forward. This is how the room looks right now. They cut Andrew Dillard, who was really bad. They saved some money. There's still 4.8 million in terms of dead cap for this season. But I feel like given how poorly he played, this was a smart decision. Like, you got rid of 13 million next year, and you are paying for more over 4 million in that cap. But it's also partially because of the void years he had in his contracts. They were accumulating for like 3.5 million. So it's not like that cap is actually very, very high, like given of what his contract looks like here. So again, you can come back, see these numbers with me. You can see what I'm talking about. Now is the time. Before, right now. They brought Lloyd Cushenberry to this O-line, and I absolutely love this signing. I feel like he is actually a player that they needed, and they did not pay. I feel here they did not overpay, and I might even say that this to me is value in terms of money, because he got 4-year, $50 million deal, and he is a former first round pick who played all of his snaps in terms of all of his years in Denver. It's not like he had a seasons off. He immediately became a player for the Broncos. So what does this mean is that he has, I'm gonna check it out, how many snaps he played already in the NFL. He has 3,687 snaps in NFL, right? He's only 25 or 26. Yeah, 26. And he has almost 4,000 snaps. And in all of these snaps, or not in all of them obviously, but overall, he is a good player. And you are getting a guy that could still develop, especially under the mentorship of this offensive line head coach that we will talk about in a couple of minutes, maybe in a half an hour. He could still go up. And even if he doesn't, for this money, you are getting good center. Then you add it to Daniel Brunskill and Dylan Raduns. Especially like Raduns kind of had this upbringing year last season when he actually outplayed what the perception of him was based on his first 2 years in the league, which he really struggled in. But he was actually like serviceable last year. He's definitely not like a guy you are happy that he starts, but you are not kind of ripping your hair because he starts. And I feel like that's the same that you can say about Daniel Brunskill. Although he is like not much, but he's further in terms of his premier NFL experience, because he is in his like 6th or 7th season. He's already 30, but again, he was decent. So when you combine these 4 players, you add Petit Frere and Jalen Duncan as kind of like backups, this O-line does not look, at least on the paper, as an absolute shit show, which it was like, or it's supposed to be last 2 years. And there is definitely a huge trust in terms of their coach, and there's a trust that they will address this position in the draft. So I think for the first time in like 3 to 4 years, Tennessee Titans could head into a season with an O-line that they will be kind of cool with. You know, I'm not saying that it's like this amazing O-line. I don't even see like that potential in it. Like I don't really see like Brunskill or Radunz like have major up seasons, but with spending premium here in terms of draft, you could have 3 good pieces in Skoronski, Cushenberry, and the draft guy with this group of serviceable players that will give you enough like in terms of there would be 22nd, 24th best O-line in the league. And given like you are not investing in terms of money here pretty much anything, that's good. That's a good result. So I'm really glad that they addressed it. I like the Lloyd Cushenberry signing. I feel like they will still address it in the draft, and we go going forward. We will take a look on or at defense. So overall, offensively, it's again Will Levis. Is he the guy? Let's give him weapons. Let's address the O-line issues. That's our major concerns. Did we solve it? No. But did we like build it? Like I would say it has limitations. It has weaknesses. But it's not like a ship that has gaping holes that Will Levis tries to paddle on, but he has pretty much zero chance, because that was kind of the story last year. Like in terms of weaponry, it was pretty much DeAndre Hopkins or just pray, you know. In terms of O-line, can the protection hold just a couple of seconds? And in terms of running backs, yeah, there again, the Tyjae Spears were the bright spots, but again, they would be thinking, it must feel nice if I'm getting the ball and I'm not getting tackled immediately by the defensive lines. I wonder how that feels, you know, like they could, I feel like they might be watching like Philadelphia games and they were like, or Detroit games, and like, it must be nice to be running back behind these O-lines. So for Derrick Henry, it kind of gets his wishes. He's heading to Baltimore, where he definitely will have a better offensive line in front of him. And for Tyjae Spears, he is getting something, like in terms of actual running lines could be much more open because of upgrades in the O-line. So this offense has obviously like not the biggest floor because Will Levis is unproven. I don't feel like he showed anything spectacular last season, but I would argue that he had a better showing than Bryce Young. And in terms of situation, which I like for Carolina, I will definitely criticize that he was not set up to succeed there, Bryce Young. But it's not like Will Levis had it much easier behind this O-line with this group of weapons that he had. So overall, not the biggest, not the highest floor, but in terms of upside, if the new O-line man hits, if Will Levis is the guy, this could actually be quite a fun offense. So you just pray that this O-line will be better and Will Levis is the guy. Calvin Ridley will like cherish his like split workload number 2 weapon behind the DeAndre Hopkins position, and he could thrive at it, like just like he thrived when he was behind Julio Jones in Atlanta for a year. So let's go and talk about defense, which for long years under Mike Vrabel was the talking point for the Titans. It was like defense and Derrick Henry, and that's our recipe. So where are we right now? So again, if you want to get familiar with the players in terms of their faces, or you want to again look at the cards because I hope you love them. Here are some pictures of Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, Arden Key. I'm not sure if I'm doing Arden and if like a huge favor, but I think like it's a fun photo. I would not mind if someone shared this photo of me. So this is not trying to mock him. I just this really feels like more of showing that he is not just unfun guy. Like he can be fun. Rashad Weaver, Quinton Bohanna, with him it's the other case around when he looks absolutely focused. Keandre Coburn, Shaquille Brown, Nico Entre, Luke Gifford, Aziz Al-Shair, G. Gibbons, Kenneth Murray, and that's it. For those who are not familiar, why there might be players on these cards that are already signed elsewhere. What I'm doing is I try to put on the cards every players that I had like before the off-season starts. They are either part of the payroll here or they are the free agents coming from this team. And I feel like they might be the guys coming back. Or in terms of Derrick Henry, I did not thought that he would be coming back, but he's just such a legendary guy that you just don't want to miss on him. And then I bring the new faces or how it looks like on the paper right now, and I try to give them cards as well. So here again, 20 seconds of your attention. You can see one or second table. This is before the off-season starts. This is where we are right now in terms of how much they are paying, who they are paying, etc. So again, if you want to see it for yourself, let's watch it right now. And it's gonna be for a while until we go to secondary on the screen. So let's go to the judgment calls on this D-line. In terms of money well spent, I cannot say you would spend well on Kenneth Murray. It's 2 years, 15 millions. When I originally looked at the signing, I was like, you really want me to put down Tina Turner from the topics of discussion because I don't like this signing. Like, it's way too much for a former first round pick who I don't think showed very much in terms of his play in NFL. But it kind of grown on me for several reasons. First, it's linebackers. They will always need a couple of years to figure it out in terms of NFL. Second, like there's probably a reason why he was selected in the first round. Third, he comes from Chargers who, how to say it nicely, Brandon Staley did not prove his defensive guru-ness to me because he could not bring the best out of Derwin James. So if Kenneth Murray did not show the promise that he was supposed to have as a first round pick, maybe it's not just on him. Third, why it grows on me, it's linebackers. Just like tight ends, I don't feel like they will make or break your season unless they are truly horrible, which I don't think Kenneth Murray should be. And third is, if like the way the contract is structured, he is having like cap hit of 5.4 millions this year and 10 millions next season. But if he is truly dreadful, you can get out of it quite cheaply with only 2.5 million in that cap for next season. So either way, you will either get player that is worth 10 millions a year, or you can get out of it quite cheaply. So with that, I do not mind the signing as much as I did. And with Jack Gibbons being brought back for very cheap, he is restricted free agent. There's he is in not the greatest position in terms of how he could ask for much more money. Again, it's one of the worst linebacker room, not just as it is for tight ends in terms of league. But there is upside, just as it is with tight ends, and it's on a position that it should not make or break your season. So overall, yeah, I do not mind these signings. And in terms of other guys, I feel like you have clearly one guy that is being overpaid. That's Harold Landry. I feel like he had quite a bad season based on his standards. It's not like he was horrible, but I feel like he was supposed to be their leading pass rusher or their leading edge guy, and he was just a guy out there. Like, I don't feel like he had impact you would hope from a guy that you are paying more than 25 million or more than 20 million a year. He did not grade well by PFF. Again, like he kind of never did in terms of PFF. He always grades out as like this middle of the pack guy. But you are paying him as not a middle of the pack guy, and you were hoping that, he can make another leap, and he just didn't. Like, he is a former second rounder, and I think that this is make or break season for him, because after 2024, you can cut him and just leave 13 millions in terms of dead cap. So they are not cutting him this year, but they could save almost 18 millions if they cut him next season for the next year. So, and the 18 millions for the season after. And I feel like that, given his production, is absolutely sensible thing to do. So either he puts up, or I think you won't see him in the Titans jersey for 2025. With him actually not being that impactful, I feel like that kind of screw the season a lot for the Titans defense, because with no consistent pass rush, actually Aaron Key did have much better pass rush numbers than Harold Landry, being paid like quarter of what Harold Landry is, or third, because you can see 24 combined to 4 millions. Yeah, that's like 1/6, but that's all because they restructured his deal, added void years, so he's pretty much on like 9 millions a year type of deal. And he was a better player than Harold Landry was last year, just slightly, but for a third of the money, you get the same production pretty much. So he is a bit underpaid, in my opinion. So he kind of counter values the bad value you have in Harold Landry. But overall, the edge is definitely something that I feel like you as a Titans should focus on. I don't think you should spend premium in terms of like the first round pick. I would not take any edge guy number 7, no matter who is still on the board. I actually think it's more the early second round when you have a pick, or if you draft down from number 7, there's several edge guys that I feel like could be picked by you, number 14, number 15, etc. In the interior, you obviously have Jeffrey Simmons, who was your best defensive player. Now I feel like it could be close to L'Jarius Sneed. But Jeffrey Simmons, guy is great. He did not have his best season. I feel like it's part of they were like overall the D-line just did not put up, that it was like really hard for him to just drag it on his shoulders, because he was pretty much the only consistent threat that the teams had, and because of that they could focus on him quite heavily. So I would not say it's necessarily his fault, but it's definitely something you monitor, because he had a down season. But given the money you pay him, he is still absolutely worth it. And there is such a huge gap between him and the second next best player on this position in this team, that it's just laughable. Like, who is the number 2 interior guy? Like, I really don't know. Like, it's Keandre Coburn, maybe. I just don't know. So again, one position that I would not draft anyone, number 7. But it's the position I will definitely consider drafting later in the draft. And you kind of see where I'm going, or maybe you will. I would just a preview to my draft analysis for Tennessee Titans. Drafting down, getting the 15th, 20th picks, some other second rounders. I feel like you are much more in search of serviceable second guys to your first guys that you have, or in terms of edge, you at least have 2 good pieces, so you kind of need to add third good rather than one excellent, because you have several holes that you need to address, and I feel like you don't have the draft capital to address each of these holes with the premium picks, like the number 7, but you could have the draft capital by trading down to address all of these positions with like this tier 2, tier 3 guys for these groups, for edge, like guys like Job Robinson, etc. But again, just a bit more time and you will learn more about the draft that I predict for Titans, or I hope for the Titans' sake that they will have. So overall, in terms of defensive line and in terms of linebackers, it's Jeffrey Simmons. You hope Arden Key is as good as he was last year, and he kind of outplays his contract. You hope Kenneth Murray is a guy, and you are like, Harold Landry, you need to put up some performance, otherwise you are gone. But overall, it's definitely not a group that you should feel great about, but it's not like the worst O-line in D-line in the league, but it's definitely in the mid to bad category for the D-line. It's like C minus if we would give it a grade. I don't think Jeffrey Simmons is enough to save it, because like Arden Key is the second best guy. This is Harold Landry. That's just not good enough. Let's go and check the secondary. So again, for you guys who want to watch a bit of these videos, here you can see players: Amari Hooker, LeJarry Sneed, Chidobe Awuzie, Caleb Farley, Roger McCreary, Elijah Molden, Sean Murphy-Bunting, Christian Fulton, Kevon Wallace. There's been quite an overhaul. Like, there's no Sean Bunting, there's no Christian Fulton, there's no Kevon Wallace at the moment on the rosters, and they won't be there. But they brought 2 great cornerbacks into this room, and for good money. So Chidobe Awuzie, he follows the head coach from the Bengals, and as your number 2 corner for, what is it, like on average 11 million? Yeah, I definitely can stand behind this decision. I don't think it's like an insane value, but it's good. You have Elijah Molden and Roger McCreary, who will slide down to be your number 3, number 4 guys, which is ultimately where they, like, no, I won't say where they belong, because I actually do like Roger McCreary. So with adding L'Jarius Sneed, the sneakily could be one of the better, I struggle to say one of the best like cornerback rooms, but yeah, it's up there. Like, it's definitely top 10 cornerback room. And L'Jarius Sneed, clear number 1 cornerback. He's not Sauce Gardner, but who is? I have him as this second tier of cornerbacks. What is there to say? You get him for 3rd round, good value. And here I have only 1 year deal, but he actually signed a 4-year, 76 millions type of deal. But there is no details about it, like how much of that is guaranteed, how it's structured. So I only have the franchise tag that was originally placed on him by the Chiefs. While cornerback room is great, and it's set up for at least 2 years before you have to pay Roger McCreary, there is one guy, Caleb Farley, who I'm not sure if you heard much about, because he is former 22nd pick in 2021 draft. But he only played 164 snaps in the NFL. And he was not good at them, but like, it's 164 snaps. And he has chronic back issues. He tore his ACL, and it's unclear if Caleb Farley will like kind of ever return to the field. You know, maybe his career is pretty much over before it started, which I just wanted to share this with you, because sometimes with this 1st round bust, because he is gonna be labeled as a bust, it's because off-field issues, is because like kind of mental issues that just didn't handle the pressure well. But here it's just a sad story of health just really ruining this man's career. We will see if they will get anything out of him, if he ever sees the field. At this point, it's house money. You kind of have to forget that he will pretty much ever give you back the value of the late 1st round pick. But I just wish him well, because yeah, it's just sad, man. But overall, their cornerback room is something to be greatly excited, and it's definitely a strong point of this team. And just in terms of matchup, like when you say DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, you know, they get to match up on L'Jarius Sneed, Roger McCreary in the training. I feel like these two groups meshing and training together against each other. First of all, there could be some fireworks. I don't think there's necessarily just cool-headed people in these rooms, but at the same time, it should really get the best out of them, even in practice. So I like that. In terms of safeties, again, I feel like this is the position where you have one great starter, very good player in terms of Amani Hooker, and you pretty much don't have anyone else. So again, I feel like this is another position that you should spend 1st or 2nd round, but you just have 2 picks, and I named several positions that I want to spend these picks that I don't have on. So that kind of presumes the strategy for the draft. So overall, secondary, one absolutely gaping hole. Who is the second safety there? But other than that, that's a bloody good secondary. If you hit on your draft here, if you sign some veteran that has a career year, we could talk about one of the best secondary in the league for sure. So that's pretty much the rundown of the lineups. We are getting to the end of the video. Now we talk about coaches. So again, if you want to watch like my coaching tree and my special teams and their pictures here, they are definitely small, but I think you should still see the faces. I really like the Nick Folk picture here, you know. He's an old man trying to kick. He never had the greatest luck, but he is still here, still good. So in terms of special teams, I feel like you have veterans there who are still putting up. Like, they are good players. I don't feel like they are difference makers, but they should not cost you games. I think they are two guys you can count on to be good for you. Obviously, with Nick Folk, you could argue that maybe, you know, his like will give up, but he never had like the strongest leg, right? So it's more about accuracy for him. So I still expect him to have a good season. So I don't worry about the special teams at all. And let's check the coaching tree. And this is the only coaching tree so far, and maybe even for the entire series, that I also added someone else who is not offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, or head coach. And that's Bill Callahan. So what they've done in Tennessee is that they hired Brian Callahan, offensive coordinator from the Bengals, where they do have a head coach who is viewed as also their offensive coordinator. So in these systems, you are like, what are we getting? Like, are we getting the guy that is responsible for that offense working? Is he the young, you know, Sean McVay, this really young offensive head coaches that come and they will be this innovative, great scheme coaches that will elevate your offense? And with the Bengals, you also have to put Joe Burrow in the discussion, like how much the success of that offense is on Joe Burrow, who has Jamar Chase, who has Tyler Boyd, who has T. Higgins, right? Like, there's a lot of people that you could address the success of the Bengals offense to. So how much of this is Brian Callahan? And I'm no expert here, but what I've heard, actually quite a lot. So that gives me an optimism that he is this likable, quite good locker room type of guy that people like to follow. From what I've heard, he is a guy that's more about not, here's the system, you have to adapt to my system. He's more like, here is what you do the best as a QB, and I want to build a system around it. So that's pretty good for what I feel like they need here in Tennessee, because you have young Will Levis, who you try to give the best possibility to success, and actually having the head coach and probably the offensive play caller or kind of an offensive coordinator adjust the offense to that guy. Yeah, I can definitely stand behind that. Nick Holtz, to me, is kind of an inconsequential signing. I don't have a high opinion. Like, it's not like I'm the head coach or coordinator's guru, but I don't think his resume is actually that impressive. So he was passing coordinator for 1 year in Jacksonville last year, and it's not like Jacksonville passing offense was amazing. Maybe he could have some hands in like bringing Calvin Ridley because of that. Is he the guy that I will trust his opinion the most? No, but because I feel like it's more Brian Callahan's responsibility in terms of offense, I can live with Nick Holtz as this offensive coordinator / complementary guy to Brian Callahan. And we stay with offense because signing Brian Callahan comes with a huge huge bonus, and that's Bill Callahan, who was head coach. I'm sorry. Oh my God, it's a long video. Who was an online coach for the Cleveland Browns, and Cleveland Browns has one of the best, if not the best, structured O-line in the league. He brought the best even out of guy like Ethan Pocic, who I watched because I'm a Seahawks fan, struggle heavily in terms of offense. He made him a center and he made him good there. So by pretty much anyone whom I heard speaking about like rankings of the online coaches, Bill Callahan is always mentioned and at least top 3 guy. So you are getting Brian Callahan, guy that should accommodate your offense to the guy you try to see if he's your future in Will Levis. In addition, you get his father, Bill Callahan, to fix your O-line where you struggled heavily in the last 2 years. And you sign him Lloyd Cushenberry, and you hopefully address this position in the offseason, in the draft as well. I like that. I really like that, and I also feel like this is not a 1-year project. I feel like even if Tennessee is bad this season, if they go like 5 and 12, I don't feel like the management would fire this group, because like getting 3rd head coach for Will Levis is not the recipe for success. If you fire Brian Callahan, I feel like you lose Bill Callahan, which is bad. He is definitely a nice bonus to have. And because I will swing back to one of the reasons that might be behind the sacking of Mike Vrabel is the culture. Brian Callahan is thought to be a guy that is easy to follow in terms of leadership, in terms of personality, and he could be actually the guy to wind up the room a little bit. Again, nothing against my Vrabel, there's nothing official, but if there is something, I think Brian Callahan is the guy that could bring it together. And then you look at Leonard Wilson as a defensive coordinator, and it's his first time the DC job. Just as is Brian Callahan in terms of head coaching job and Nick Holtz in terms of offensive coordinator. But unlike with Nick Holtz, when you look at Leonard Wilson pedigree or where he worked, under who he worked, I mean, he worked under Jonathan Gannon in Philadelphia, under Todd Bowles in Jets, and under Mike McDonald in Ravens or in Baltimore. I'm like, so you are saying we are getting a guy that was learning from one of the best defensive minds in football? Yeah, I like that. I really like that. I hope he can kind of suck all the knowledge, all the schemes from these guys and unleash it. And he actually has very good secondary to do it. In terms of D-line, you hope you get something to work with in terms of draft. But overall, I like this direction. I like the signings. It's not the biggest guys on the market. It's not the most notable guys. It's not Jim Harbaugh's of the world. But I feel like they are what Tennessee needed, for sure. Not for sure, but I believe in these signings. So this would be kind of all for the rundown of the situation. I tried to stick more on the topics that I had in terms of Will Levis, in terms of family bond that we have here with Brian and Bill Callahan, like the bonus that you get by signing Brian Callahan, as well as really praising their offseason in terms of free agency. For the final topic, I will be talking about the draft. So let's check the last slide that I actually have. So if you again want to take a look, here it is. It's pretty much just 2 mock drafts that I've done on PFF, where you can like kind of try to do mock drafts. First, is this the most accurate tool in the world? Best predictor of the reality? No, it's not. Like, it's not. But it's kind of the best that is out there. So I went like and just tried to what I would do. So pretty much in the first 3 rounds, you only have the number 7 and number 38 pick. But that number 7 pick, I feel like is extremely valuable for what you want to do. Because like, let's go draft right now. Okay, so number 1, Caleb Williams goes to the Bears, pretty much said and done. Drake May goes to Washington. Again, like if they don't do it, I will be stunned. Then you have Patriots and either Marvin Harrison or Jaden Daniels. I hope it's Marvin Harrison. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But let's assume it's Marvin Harrison. What that would mean is probably Malik Neighbors to the Cardinals. And then you have Giants and Chargers. Giants could take Jaden Daniels. I think that could be reasonable. And Chargers could take Joey Alt. I have 2 players that if I'm Titans, or no, it's like, it's 3. Okay, let's say 4, but it's pretty much 2, and it could be 3 or 4. So I have Marvin Harrison or Joey Alt. If they are up, I am drafting them. Like I don't care of. I will still listen, but I will be stunned if there is an offer on the table that would be so intriguing for me that I would not draft Marvin Harrison or Joey Alt if they are still up. Because like I think in Marvin Harrison it's just an absolute steal with number 7. So if he somehow fall here, I definitely am picking him. And with Joey Alt, I don't feel like it's a steal, but he is a premium player for premium position that I miss. So if he is up, I'm drafting him. Most of the mock drafts I saw, these 2 guys are not available. Like chances of Marvin Harrison being available, I feel like are under 1%. With Joey Alt, it's like 30-40%, something like that. So let's put ourselves into the situation in which Joey Alt and Marvin Harrison are off the board. What you can assume at this point is there is also Drake May and Caleb Williams are also off the board. So that leaves us with Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, Malik Neighbors, and Romeo Odunze. Like 2 wide receivers and 2 QBs that at least 2 of them are definitely up. So with Malik Neighbors and Romeo Odunze, I initially had them as like, if these guys are up, I'm drafting them if I'm Titan. But as they signed Calvin Ridley, I don't think you do. So to me, it's only Marvin Harrison or Joey Alt that if they are up for the number 7 pick, I'm drafting them. And there are a couple of players that I would not say that would be reaches. Whether it's Byron Murphy, Jahan Newton, Romeo Odunze, Malik Neighbors, or maybe even a guy like Dallas Turner. I'm not saying they would be reaches for the number 7 pick. What I'm saying is I have several holes. Second safety is the third edge guy, is the second interior D lineman, it's the tackle, it could be tight end. I would rather fill these holes with like 3 or 4 second tier players rather than with 1 premium and 1 like second tier. So I feel like if Joey Alt and Marvin Harrison are not on the board, you are drafting down. And the reason why you would draft down here is also there should be a lot of suitors that will want this pick. Most likely because of Jaden Daniels or because of JJ McCarthy. Because whether it's Vikings, whether it's Broncos, in some scenario I actually feel like it could even be Patriots that would like pull out like Houston last year, in which like, yeah, we go with Marvin Harrison as number 3 because we know that he is off the board if we are not drafting him. Arizona is, but Jaden Daniels might still be up when the Titans are on the board, and they should be willing to give us this pick, not give us, like trade us this pick. So maybe it's even Patriots that they could pull this out, but it's mainly the Vikings, it could be the Seahawks, it could be the Broncos, and in some scenario I see even Patriots going for this pick. So in the first mock, it's the Vikings I've traded with, and I got 2 first rounds, like number 11, number 23, and beside the number 7 pick, I also handed them a second round next year. With 11th pick, I feel like the best player or the best fit for the need I had in this times of mock draft was Jahan Newton. PFF for some reason gives me C+, but I really feel like he is a good player there and he fits the need I have. And then with 23rd pick, I had another premium position addressed with Amarius Mims, good tackle from Georgia that I feel like Bill Callahan can absolutely work with. This left me with the 38th pick, who I traded down with the Raiders, just slight couple of moves, because it would allow me to have the 3rd round pick this season and still pick Troy Franklin. He's like the tier 3 wide receiver, which is kind of exactly what you need, because like you have your DeAndre Hopkins, you have your Calvin Ridley, and you kind of need that wide receiver 3 with the potential upside. You know, if DeAndre Hopkins is not with you next year, that he could be number 2 wide receiver, and hopefully Calvin Ridley could step up and be the number 1. So Troy Franklin here, Jeremiah Trotter. At that point, it felt like there were no safeties or edge guys that would not feel like a reach in this position. So I actually spent this on the linebacker that I feel like could develop and could even like compete for starting job immediately, because like I said, that group is not amazing. On the right side, you can see quite to me what would be close to an excellent draft here. It would require 2 trade downs. You know, with here it's the Raiders who trade up for the number 7 pick, then Cardinals for the 13th pick, and in this draft you are pretty much addressing each position of need beside linebacker, and you kind of take Kyrie Jackson as the luxury pick into the secondary. Maybe you can go with some system that uses maybe 4 cornerbacks, or even like you try to make one of your cornerbacks to play a safety, not necessarily like I see a great fit there, but it's more luxury pick because I got several like 2nd and 3rd round picks in the process. And again, addressing the needs: Javon Bullard, 2nd safety, Chubb Robinson, the 3rd edge guy, Tyler Guyton, guy that I feel like again could be serviceable tackle in the NFL. Adonai Mitchell as that 3rd wide receiver into the rotation with Trey Burks. This is kind of mock drafts on the PFF, not necessarily the most accurate thing in the world. But what I'm trying to say with this is I would hate for the Titans to use the 7th pick on anyone but Joe Alt or Marvin Harrison. Like, I feel like there will be offers for that pick, and what you can get from the offers is more either 2 or even 3 tier 2 guys rather than one like tier 1 guy in his position. And I think you are in a position that you just have to do it. You are not one guy away. You need several players that can play, and you can find them in this deep of a draft. And that number 7 pick is a pretty much guarantee that at least one of the QBs that teams out there want, he should still be up there. So you should be a guy that has the power to trade down with them, kind of freeze them in a way, because you know they really need it. And yeah, I think that's a good strategy. The problem you have is, especially with teams like Vikings with number 11 pick, behind you there's Falcons, there are Bears, there are Jets. Neither of them are picking a QB. So a lot of teams could be like, we don't have to trade with you, Titans, because we can trade with them, or in terms of Vikings, we can even wait for our 11th pick. So I think it will require to have some haggling, like, okay, maybe create some false interest from, another team, because if, for example, Vikings would say like, okay, we will just wait for our pick, then as a Titans, you just need to say, okay, Broncos, like, we can give you your guy because the Vikings are picking ahead of you, how much you are going to pay. And in terms of like dealing with Vikings, like, okay, if it's not you, we still have the suitors for this pick. And like, oh, come on, like, you should not have a suitors because we kind of want to wait. And yeah, so that's where I feel like it could be very interesting draft night for the Titans. And if handled to the perfection, I think this could be a draft that they or like off-season and draft year that they could really come back in 2 or 3 years and say like, this is the reason why we are now winning division. Maybe we, with Will Levis actually reaching his upside, that we could be competing for even Super Bowls. Like, it's not 2024. It's unlikely in 2025 unless Will Levis gets to at least like CJ Stroud-esque, who like he can. I think he has quite a good upside. And for them to like talk about the window with Titans, it's a lot about if Will Levis hits, then the window is pretty much open from 2025 going forward. I really don't see it's open 2024. If he doesn't, then I'm not sure when the window opens, because if he doesn't, you are probably still sticking with him for the 2025 before you readdress the position for 2026. Then if the next guy hits, it's like, okay, maybe 2027 could be a year. So it's a lot about, is Will Levis the guy? I feel like that's all. I really enjoyed talking about Titans. I feel like there's a lot of interesting stuff they've done. When I talk about draft, you have to like get the fact that you brought L'Jarius Sneed with one of your picks as well into the equation. And like, they sneaked up on me. I did not expect to enjoy like researching and talking about Titans so much. And at this point, they might be one of my favorites team to actually look next season to what they can do. And I will be watching you on the draft night, and we will see what will you do. Really excited. One last thought that I will just put out there. If you would trade down to like get 13, 15, 16 pick, and in some mock drafts, I even saw like Brock Bowers dropping into this area of the draft. I think he's pretty exciting draftable prospect for the Titans. I would not pick him as number 7. I feel like he does not addresses the need. Just like with Malik Neighbors or Romeo Nunze, I think he does not justify picking him number 7 when I have suitors for the number 7 pick. But that's the thing. Like I have several guys on the radar that I feel like I could draft with number 7 if there were no suitors. But I feel like there will be suitors for the pick. Because of that, I would draft down. And one of the guys I felt like I could draft him with number 7. He could still be up. Number 11, number 13, number 12, because again, I'm not drafting a QB. I'm not drafting a cornerbacks, or at least not with the first or second round. And there are the positions that a lot of teams will go after. So, the Brock Bowers of the world could still be up. Or Chazzy Newtons could still be up, even with the pick 15, despite I feel like if I draft him number 7, it's not a reach. It's just a bad pick given the value I could get by trading down, in my opinion. So that's it for today. That was the Titans. Thank you for sticking with me through the whole podcast. I hope you like the better sound that should be coming with this video. I hope you also like the added information about like now you should watch, now you don't have to, in terms of the video. And see you guys with the next one. Bye.